Imagine the coffee in your mug has gone cold. You're a data journalist, a person who believes that numbers don't lie. You're staring at 3 glowing monitors that are telling you a story. On your center screen, a map of the United States is a uniform, vibrant blue. The topic, a complex, new piece of social legislation. According to the data scraped from all the major social platforms and news aggregators, 92% of the country is in radical agreement. The consensus is absolute. It's a tidal wave of progress. But here's the problem. You just got back from a month-long road trip. You weren't in Silicon Valley or Washington, D.C. You were in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and upstate New York. You sat in diners, barbershops, and community centers. You talked to real people, and you didn't find the anger or hatred the internet promised. You found confusion, nuance, and a quiet, polite disagreement that simply doesn't exist on your glowing blue screen. It doesn't match. The internet says the debate is over. It says that to disagree is to be a pariah. But out there, in the real world, people are still debating. The map isn't a reflection of reality. It's a reflection of the architecture. And so, you set out to find why the map is lying. Your journey takes you to Palo Alto to meet a ghost. Not a literal one, but a man who vanished from Silicon Valley's elite circles. His name is Marcus Chun. He was a lead algorithm architect for one of the world's biggest social platforms. He cashed out, disconnected, and now lives in a cabin in the Santa Cruz Mountains. You sit on his porch, surrounded by the silence of the redwoods, a stark contrast to the digital noise you live in. You ask him about the echo chamber. He tells you that's an outdated term. An echo chamber just implies you're hearing your own voice back. What they built is different. It's a skinner box of progress. He explains that a few years ago, they changed the core metric. They stopped optimizing for time on site and started optimizing for something called Affinity Velocity. They realized people don't just want to see what they like. They want to feel like they are on the winning side of history. So, they tweaked the code to suppress nuance. Imagine you post something like, "I support Discourse, but I have some questions about how it's being implemented." The algorithm sees that as low-velocity friction. It gets shown to fewer people. But if you post, "Anyone who doesn't support this is a monster," that's high-velocity affirmation. The system boosts it. It goes viral. Over years, this system trained us to stop asking how and start shouting now. You feel a chill? So, the overwhelming consensus you see on your screen, it's artificial. It's not that the dissent has disappeared, it's that the platform's architecture creates an invisible filter. The progress you see is often just the result of people being afraid to be the one who slows down the velocity. Social standing has been get back in your office. You dig deeper. You start analyzing the linguistics of the feed, using an AI to scan millions of articles from the last decade. You discover something you call the vocabulary shift. You sit down with a sociolinguist from Columbia University, and she looks at your data with wide eyes. You show her a graph. The usage of academic terms, words like systemic, intersectionality, normative. They've moved from niche academic journals to everyday online discourse in less than 3 years. That's faster than any linguistic evolution in human history. The professor explains that it's a shibboleth. In ancient times, tribes identified enemies by how they pronounced a specific word. Today, we do it with vocabulary. If you don't use the specific, updated terminology of the moment terms that can change every 6 months, you're identified as an outsider. The unseen force is the fear of social death. People adopt the language of the tribe not because they've deeply studied the philosophy behind it, but because to speak the old language is to risk becoming invisible. The algorithm rewards the correct vocabulary with visibility. It punishes the wrong vocabulary with silence. The echo chamber of progress isn't just about politics. It's a survival mechanism. But what's the human cost of this architecture? You track down a woman named Alina. A few years ago, she was a celebrated progressive art director, a champion of civil rights and environmental causes. Then, she wrote a blog post. It wasn't hateful. It was a thoughtful, 2,000-word essay questioning the real-world effectiveness of a popular hashtag campaign. She suggested that performative posting was replacing actual activism. She tells you what happened next. It happened overnight. She didn't get a flood of death threats. She wasn't yelled at. She just vanished. The algorithm saw the negative sentiment in the comments from a few high-velocity users. It decided her post was toxic content. Her posts stopped appearing in her friends' feeds. She wasn't banned. She was shadow banned. She was shouting into a void. Eventually, her friends assumed she had just left the movement. They stopped calling. She was erased by the architecture because she introduced a shade of gray into a world that only wants black and white. You realize the terrifying truth. The unseen forces in some government censor. It's a soft, digital suffocation of complexity. This new echo chamber doesn't burn books. It simply moves them to a shelf nobody can reach. You finally understand. The progress being sold is often an illusion a mile wide and an inch deep, sustained by algorithms that profit from polarization and a society terrified of being out of step. You start to write. You write about affinity velocity. You write about the vocabulary shift. You write about Elena and the silencing of the gray. We are building a consensus of ghosts. We look at our screens and see a unified nation marching forward. But if we look closer, we see that the unity is fabricated by code that hides the dissent. We are losing the ability to talk to one another because we have built machines that only let us talk to mirrors. True progress is messy. It is full of argument, nuance, and uncomfortable compromise. The shiny, frictionless progress of our social feeds is a lie. And until we break the glass of this echo chamber, until we value the awkward truth over the high-velocity lie, we are not moving forward. We are just spinning in place, faster and faster. You hit publish. You watch the article go live. The first few comments trickle in. Some are angry, some are relieved. But for the first time in years, the map on your screen isn't a uniform, blinding blue. It's speckled with purple, red, and gray. It looks like a mess. It looks like an argument. It looks, finally, like reality. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Let's keep the conversation going, the real one, in the comments below. See you next time.